All right, here we are for some Friday support. I had a crazy week this week work-wise, so I didn't have a chance to put this link out ahead of time, which I realize is a bummer because there was no announcement or no way anyone could really know I was doing this. But I'm going to give it a couple seconds. I'm going to post it in some places. Hi, Sarah. I just didn't have time. Sometimes you don't have time. So I'm here. I'm gonna, let's see, find the link to this. Hello. Okay, good. People are joining, which is great. I'm gonna take a second here to just post this link, just because I wasn't able to. All right, Friday support happening now. Just because I wasn't able to set the link out ahead of time. Yeah, then we'll get started. We got like 9 people here. I know I wasn't able to do this ahead of time, unfortunately. I usually like create the link a couple days in advance so people can kind of like put a little notification on it. Friday support happening now. But the week just got away from me. Watching this at midnight. Okay. Hi, hello. Friday support happening now. I do remember you. How's everybody doing? Okay. All right. We are here. It is Friday. We are supporting each other. We are doing it. What's going on? What are you feeling upset? What are you experiencing? Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Let's see here. Oh, your phone broke. That's such a bummer. Man, technology issues. I was feeling that so hard, especially at the beginning of this pandemic. Nothing was working, nothing was going right. I dropped my phone like 3 times in a row. It just makes you feel so frustrated and disempowered, and especially it sounds like you worked really hard to earn that. Yeah, I mean, other things, of course, are important, but I get really upset when my technology's not working right. Absolutely. Absolutely. It is a really, aw. Thanks, Angela. That's very sweet. Angela. Yeah, man, technology. It is a bummer. It is a real bummer when it doesn't work. When it works well, it's exciting and connects us and helps us feel great. But when it's not working, it is frustrating. So oh, hi, Sarah. Well, I don't want you to get in trouble at work. I mean, I would maybe suggest, I'm definitely not a tech expert here, but I would suggest looking into, wait a second here. I just want to make sure this is on the right thing here. Yeah, this is HLG. Okay. I would look at, like, did you have insurance when you bought the phone? Like, sometimes there's, stuff like that. Yeah, a shattered iPhone, sometimes you can, like, get a repair. There's, like, repairs in your contract, maybe? I'm not really sure. Maybe look into if you have, like, the receipt, or because if you just got it, there should be some sort of repair. Let's see here. Anya. I wish there was a way to audition for Binge. I wish I wish that it was like, you know, we pitched it around to networks, but everybody passed. So I'm not really sure what the future holds. We'll probably be doing a feature, but we're not quite there yet. You know, with COVID stuff, I'm not really sure when we're going to be able to shoot properly in person. Oh, these nails, these are really fake. Look, one popped off. Two popped off. They're not, if you saw them in person, you would say, those do not look good. Yeah, so I'm just writing right now, writing stuff, working on some writing projects and whatnot. COVID is definitely paused, just like Target or someplace like that. Just like they're just like your standard like press-on nails. Just a little fun thing. I want them off now though because two of them popped off and they're kind of bugging me. Let's see here. How's everyone doing? How is everyone holding up this past week? The news cycle continues to be crazy and frustrating. Well, I just ate a donut. I kind of want to go get another one, but it's in the other room. I had a late night last night. Yeah, it is hard to be creative during COVID. I think that sometimes just surviving is enough, and that, you know, creativity tends to be at the top of the sort of hierarchy of needs, and like food, shelter, safety is at the bottom. And with all of this pandemic stuff, the bottom of our pyramid is disrupted. So it makes sense that it's harder to open up those creative spaces and connect with that. Difficulty concentrating. Yeah. Oh, welcome, ice cream. Yeah. Constance, I would say that in my experience, again, not a therapist, you know, not an expert, is that I don't believe it's possible to recover from an eating disorder while trying to lose weight. That's how I've experienced it in myself. Granted, I'm not a healthcare professional. Probably not all healthcare professionals take that stance. But for me, as long as I was still trying to lose weight, I was continuing to binge and purge, because weight loss involves restriction, and restriction sets you up for a binge. I would recommend reading the book Anti-Diet by Christy Harrison. And she talks about how diets don't work. They actually don't. And it's like a multi-billion-dollar industry that's designed to keep people financially obligated to different like diet programs and things like that. And so I'd recommend reading her book because she's going to explain it way better than I can. But for me, restricting had to go altogether. And I had to learn to accept where my body was and is and wants to be. And, you know, especially for people who menstruate, our bodies shift a lot throughout the month and are on a cycle throughout the month. And yes, Anya, diets don't work. Let's see. I'm missing a lot of comments here. As per usual. Oh, great, Erin. Thanks, Sarah. I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to do better with it. We're all learning. Hi, Maria. Yeah, I understand why you're asking that question though, about I wanted the same thing about wanting to recover and also change the shape of my body. And I just couldn't do it. Oh, amazing. Because there's a physical aspect. I'm just speaking from my experience again. There's a physical aspect, of course, to trying to lose weight and restricting. But for me, there was also a massive emotional component where I felt like I didn't have enough willpower, which I now realize isn't accurate because your body is just trying to keep you alive and it's not really about willpower. I had judgment calls on, you know, I'm bad if I do this, I'm wrong if I do this, I'm gross if I do this, which is internalized fat phobia and white supremacy and all of that gross stuff that diet culture encapsulates and like feeds into us and affects our self-worth and our value. And so when I inevitably would not be able to continue restricting and then would binge and do that whole cycle again, then not only was I having these like terrible physical side effects and neurological side effects, but my emotional side effects were terrible as well. And it just like beat at my self-esteem and my self-worth. And it was this vicious cycle of just feeling terrible inside and outside. And I had to let go of the desire to make myself smaller. That's what I had to do, speaking from my experience. And I always say default to your team. Although, you know, I've been having some conversations with a friend of mine and doing some reading too, you know, as a white woman, cisgendered woman, I'm going to do a bad job talking about this, but I'm going to do my best and get better at it. So, okay, so medicine, psychology, we all know is tailored to like cis white men, right? But I think like the next group it's tailored to is cis white women, which I belong to, right? So, I'm always like, I default to therapists, I default to dietitians, I default to medical professionals, but I also want to do my part to acknowledge that not all medical professionals, therapists, dietitians are created equally, and that there are massive flaws in our medical insurance as well, and healthcare industries, and that psychology, that recovery programs have a history of being tailored very much toward whiteness. And so I just want to call out that my continual deferment to professionals has something to do with my privilege, and that we need to be really discerning in who we're choosing to listen to in terms of finding our therapists, finding dietitians that are healthy at every size modality. Now I'm just like going off. But I also want to say the reason I often defer to professionals is because I'm not one myself, and I really don't want to give someone medical advice because I'm not qualified to do that. So, you know, I'm sort of waiting in this really strange territory in these talkbacks where I'm not a therapist, I'm not a medical professional, I'm just speaking from my experience. But I also want to acknowledge that community-based support can be really powerful because medical institutions have failed a number of individuals, people who are otherwise abled, disabled, blah, 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 blah. I think you understand what I'm saying. I'm going to get better at talking about it. And I'm really excited because we're going to be going back to Sunday supports. I've been traveling. That's why someone said, can these be at the same time every day? They will go back to being at the same time every week. I've been traveling, so I've just had to try to find places when I can sneak it in my schedule. But I'm going to start having some other folks guest with me on these talks who are more qualified to talk about certain actionable things, navigating treatment, so that we're getting perspectives outside of my own, because I think that would be really useful. Did any of that make sense? It might not have. I'm going to continue to read and study and challenge my internal biases and all of that. Okay, back to our regularly scheduled chatting, Angela chattering. Yay, I'm glad you got your pandemic mug. Hooray! Oh gosh, no. Bagel plus kale smoothie sounds delicious. Yum, yum, yum. I want that. No, that sounds like a great breakfast. Again, as not a professional, but as a gal who likes breakfast, that sounds really good to me. All right. Great. Fabulous. Sometimes I'm like Michael Scott. I start talking and I don't know where it's going to go, and I just kind of keep filling in the rest of the sentence. But what are some things that folks need some community support with this week? What's going on? I heard someone earlier, read someone earlier talking about sleep schedules. My sleep schedule's been a little bit weird lately, and I know that when my sleep is off, the rest can kind of quickly follow in getting kind of, I did get a gorgeous night's sleep last night, though. It was amazing. It was really, really nice. I slept in late. I was going to do this earlier today. Oh, no, sleep schedules out. So, Amanda, how do you keep yourself healthy when your sleep schedule is changing so often? Because I imagine you're not the only one. Liz, anxiety during quarantine. Yes. Yeah, I think that I don't know anyone who can't relate to that sentiment. What are folks doing to sort of quell anxiety? I know that for me, doing things with my hands is really helpful, like coloring. Oh, Amanda, that's so hard. Do you get to catch up on sleep other nights, nights of the week? So yeah, stuff with my hands really helps. Yes. Well, sorry about the sunburn, but yay. Was it fun? Did you have a good experience swimming? Maria, that's so awesome. That's so wonderful. Sometimes, I haven't done this in a while, but I used to crochet, and that would kind of calm me. The sun, yeah. Oh, Amanda, well, I hope you can find... You know what I've tried this week? I tried, hey, Jacqueline. I tried, yes, Sander, swimming this week. Whoa, everybody is a beach body. If it goes to the beach or to the pool or wherever, sprinkler, hot tub, pick your poison. Oh, what was I going to say? Oh, thanks, Kate. Oh, good, Maria. Hooray. Oh, I was going to say something and then I forgot. Yeah, too cold and rainy. One day that sun will come out. I was going to say something and I forgot what it was. Was it about beach bodies? Was it about, oh, my boyfriend's texting me about, he's trying to buy a new TV for us because ours is poo-pooed out. It's very old. They have a 20, A genuine question because do you ever find yourself? Angela. No, I don't. But I do worry because I do have thin privilege and white privilege that I wonder if sometimes I'm not the best model of or that I'm somehow fitting into what we already think an eating disorder looks like. I'm 33, which we usually see eating disorders as, much younger. Bye, Sarah. But I do worry sometimes that, oh yeah, I'm kind of from the community that you would expect to have had struggled with an eating disorder. That's something that I've struggled with since we first started even writing Binge, Yuri and I. But at the end of the day, I guess I decided that hopefully we're encapsulating enough of an authentic emotional experience that it would, that's what they say about art, right? The specific becomes universal. I'm saying that quote wrong. So, you know, that's my worry. But I obviously can't change who I am, and I can't change my lived experience. I can't change any of that. I can just try and be the best advocate that I can be. That's why we wanted to make a full show out of Binge, where we would go into the clinic and we would get to experience other bodies, other shapes, sizes, colors, genders, religions, the whole ages, ableism, abilities. That's the word I'm looking for, because eating disorders don't discriminate, and that we could hire writers and actors who could showcase those stories in a more authentic way, and then no one bought our show. But we're still hoping to be able to touch on a little bit of that in the future. But, because it's me and it's my story and I'm writing, it ends up being through a white, thin, privileged lens, which I think we need to see more representation. I'm not that representation. So, yeah, that's something that I kind of, struggle with and talk about within myself. Let's see here. I'm missing a lot of, okay. Sarah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. We have had a trans character in mind since we first envisioned the series, and not to just like grab a piece of representation, but because one of my closest friends in treatment transitioned right after she was discharged, and it got me thinking, oh wow, there's got to be an entire community, and that's got to be its own really complicated microcosm within the eating disorder community. So I mean, our goal from the beginning was to make the show look like my experience in recovery looked like, which was actually incredibly diverse. We had older women, we had a trans woman, we had a Black woman, we had a straight dude, we had folks from the Latinx community. It was a pretty diverse group in my treatment facility, and then you realize that those who have access to treatment generally come from privilege. So then you think about, oh, who are the people that aren't even able to access treatment, and what's that whole community look like? Anyway, God damn it, there's a lot of show in this show and a lot of things to explore. But we can only do what we can do because we don't have any money. So we're doing the best we can, and I hope it inspires other folks to write their stories. Let's see here. Yeah, Angela P. Yeah. Let's see here. Yeah, thank you for sharing your experience, Rebecca H. I think it's so important to, for us, yes, thank you for sharing your experience. Dee Dee, in terms of your meds, I would highly recommend contacting your psychiatrist today, just because stopping taking meds without medical supervision can be really dangerous, and I speak from experience. on that. And I think you should give your psychiatrist a call today and just sort of talk about where you're at and what would be the best move forward. Because meds, I take them. I take them every day. I've taken them for years. They work for me. I love them. And if you mess with them, they can also be very dangerous. So Angela P., we did a crowdfunding campaign a couple years ago and we raised $45,000, which was really absolutely exciting. And, you know, so generous and so exciting to sort of like give you perspective. One episode of a TV show you see is probably like $300,000. So it's a great amount of money, but not quite enough for us to like do something you would see on Netflix in a way that's going to be sustainable and make us not go crazy and allow us to pay our bills. So our goal right now is to take that $45,000 and to make a feature film with it that sort of tells this story and kind of puts a nice button on it. And but you know, with quarantine, we're not going to be able to do that for a while, which is why we decided to do the quarantine episodes. That wasn't something we planned, but when we sort of realized what was going on and how much folks were struggling, we wanted to put out some content that would speak to that specific experience. But we are still planning to do a feature. Oh, Amanda, that sounds really stressful. But it sounds like it would help to have a little bit of professional insight on that. Bing Cherry, yeah, that feeling of being stuck, I know it. I know it so deeply in my bones. It's really debilitating and frustrating and hang on, I have to respond. And it feels like it'll never change. And as someone who has been there and who has come out on the other side, I do want to reflect to you that it can change and that there can be hope and relief from it. For me, recovery is gone like this, right? It's not always a straight line. And so I think as much as you can, if you found a team you trust, as much as you can give over to what they're asking of you and to allow yourself to be in process with it and to not judge yourself for days that you feel like you're failing because those setbacks are part of the healing journey. And to maybe let yourself off the hook a little bit because this has been a really tough year on a lot of different levels. We're in the middle of a global pandemic. It's a tough time for everybody. And so if we can all just show ourselves a little extra compassion, I think it could go a long way. Sophia, yeah, do you think it's possible to get into recovery without help from an outside source? Resources are so expensive. They are, and they shouldn't be, and it makes me mad. There are places like Project Heal that provides treatment grants and sources like that. For me, I needed and also had the privilege of being able to access professional help. I have friends who recovered without it. For me, that would have been really, really, really hard. I needed that outside help, but there are a lot of tools that you can get for free. So there are some great books, book recommendations every week we put on here. The 8 Keys of Eating Disorder Recovery by Carolyn Costin, Anti-Diet by Christy Harrison. I'd love more recommendations in here. There are a plethora of free online virtual support groups. You can find those support groups. They're in the notes section of all of our binge videos. And once this stream is done, I'll include them in the notes section again, so you can find a free virtual support group every day of the week. So even if you're not able to afford or work insurance to get that professional one-on-one care, I'm telling you, support groups, not all are created equal, but for me, the support groups were really instrumental in sort of understanding my emotional well-being and unpacking some of my fat phobia and unpacking some of my, you know, my shit. So I highly recommend, even if you can't find a way to get a therapist, to access some of those free resources, because these illnesses are painful and they're lonely and they make you feel isolated. And the truth is that you're not alone, and that there are all sorts of people all over the world who are trying to move forward into recovery. And having a team, having a community is so powerful. So I really encourage you to access some of those places. Amanda, what happens in a support group? I think they're all different. You know, the ones I've been to, sometimes there'll be a prompt by a moderator and you all sort of share. Sometimes folks will say, you know, hey, I'm struggling with this, and get community feedback. They're all kind of run differently, but I'm sure if you're looking at specific ones, there's a way to kind of contact whoever runs it and sort of ask ahead of time, hey, what's the format of this? Just so you can kind of go in. Having more information can oftentimes dispel some of the anxiety about trying something new, I find. Rebecca, congratulations about writing. Oh my God, that's so exciting. It's hard to do. Xander's looking for tips for good habits. You know, there are a lot of books on this that I have not read. Bye, Anya, sending love. I've heard that like trying to adopt new habits during times of transition are really useful. I know a habit I'm trying to adopt is drinking more water, because I do not drink enough water. There are apps on your phone too, like for water, drinking water. There's a drink water app that'll like ding every time you should go have a glass of water, which I have not listened to, and I need to, but I have not. So, but any habit forming recommendations from folks on here? I would love to know. Hi, Susie. That would be great. Annie, I'm sending you love, and you know, I want to say love, love, love. Bing Cherry is wondering why. Oh, good. Alexa tells you to stretch, drink, and eat. That's great. Bing Cherry is wondering why we think that food tracking apps might be bad for eating disorders. And I think this is all on an individual based system. But for me, anytime I was counting or, Susie, you're funny, counting or monitoring or holding my myself too tightly, I was really engaging with my eating disorder, and I was judging it. I just needed to learn how to like let go and have more freedom and flexibility. A food tracking app, they tend to be geared toward dieting and like shape changing. Yeah. So they don't work for me. They're not good for me. They're dangerous for me. I just can speak from my own experience, and I was hearing other folks on here that were feeling like the calorie tracking apps were fueling their eating disorder thoughts. So anytime something is fueling that terrible fire, I think it's good to look at and re-examine and adjust accordingly. That's interesting, Laura. But I ignore my body's thirst and I just drink coffee instead. So I gotta drink that water. Yeah. But you know, to each their own. So Kenna is wondering about tips for harm reduction. She's having, or they're having, I'm sorry, I shouldn't gender you. I don't know what your gender is. That's my bad. Kenna is having trouble accessing care and is looking for ways to keep themselves safe while they wait. So does anyone have some tips for Kenna. For me, when I'm feeling a feeling that I don't like, whether it would be like the impulse to harm or to engage with the eating disorder, changing my physiological state is really helpful. Like, I feel like I say this every week, but like taking a shower or moving from inside to like sitting on the patio and smelling the cool air, running my hands under cold water, or, you know, something that changes my physiological state can help me. I think it's kind of like an outside in way of changing. Having a kind of like phone tree in your brain, maybe like, are there some like best friends you can, oh yeah, that's great, Angela, water on the skin, drinking water. Yeah, even just like sitting on the phone with a friend and like saying, okay, we're going to start this episode of a show at the exact same moment, and just like have the friend on the phone. I use this app called Marco Polo with a lot of my friends. And so I can go and like watch a message, an old message from a friend, that feels really comforting. Yeah, antidepressants are great too if you can, if you find one that works for you. Things like a face mask, or sometimes I'll like I'll do a coconut oil mask on my hair, will really help. TV shows that I watch when I'm anxious, Schitt's Creek, I love it. Like Parks and Rec. I like goofy comedies when I'm feeling anxious. I've been rewatching The Office, which is interesting to rewatch because there's some problematic things in that show, but Steve Carell's just so charming, so I don't know. Yeah, Bing Cherry, it sounds like your sort of arsenal of tools isn't working for you right now, and that's got to be a really frustrating and disempowering feeling. I wonder if we can brainstorm some other options for you. I don't know if you have a dog or a pet that you can kind of snuggle with. Sometimes just like petting a dog or like looking into my dog's eyes is really calming and soothing. Cooking, which I realize can be a triggering option, but some folks find cooking to be very centering and grounding. I would be so interested in what other folks have to suggest. Something creative. Yeah, like, do you have Play-Doh, or could you get some Play-Doh or clay to kind of play with, or some colors or paints? Or even use your phone to like play with taking some artistic photos and, you know, download a cheap photo editing app and see what kind of see if you can make the photo of your desk plant look like very Vogue or something. I think, yeah, creativity can be really helpful. Oh yeah, that's a great idea, Angela, shaking your arms and legs, knitting. Yeah. Yeah. It's been great to be here with you all today. I have to go a little bit early again. I don't know what is OnlyFans? Oh, hi, Miles. Dr. Miles Sandoval. Thank you for that insight. I have to, I don't know what it is, okay? I don't know what it is. Is it bad? I don't know what it is. I'm old. I don't understand the internet. Oh, no, pass. Won't do that. No, thanks. No, thanks. No, 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 no. I have to jump off a little bit early today. But yes, I will be back next week. And I think what I'm going to do, because the reason we've been on Fridays is because I've been traveling for work. And so I'm going to be back home So I think starting next week, I think I'm going to go back to Sunday supports. I have to kind of get my travel schedule in line, but I won't do a sort of last minute one like I did this week. Next week, I'm gonna structure it out a little bit better, and start having some guests on to help me do a better job, and to sort of diversify insight and all of that good stuff, because the more the merrier. All right, so thank you all for being here. What should we practice? What should we practice more of this week? We should do 5% more what this week? 5% more sitting in the sun. But what about folks who don't have sun right now? Oh, 5% more positive affirmations. I like that too. Self-compassion, I like that. Pick your one. I might do 5% more sitting in the sun, actually, because it is sunny where I am, and I don't take enough time to slow down and sort of engage with my senses and like enjoy the little things. I love you all. 5% more laughing. I love it. And I will post on 5% more sunblock. Yes, that too. I will post on our binge Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. I will post the date and time of the next one, but I believe it will be next Sunday, mid-morning. I love you all. Be well. Check out those support resources. Try a new support group. And we'll see you here next week.